Part 7. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bha Jiaoye 11U. Chapter 63. It was busy until afternoon when there was no one in the store. Read. Everyone was exhausted and had no energy to cook. Seeing Aunt Jo coming to help, Suking Nao asked her to order a table of food from the small restaurant where Lu Bachan had taken her to eat. Originally, Sukingyu was afraid that everyone would not be able to accept this format, so she still went to the vegetable market to buy food. She did not expect that there would be so many people watching the fun today. I actually bought all the food I prepared for the day. After dinner, Sudahu hurried to the countryside with his bullock cart and cart, saying that he would pull another cart back to catch the evening market. After working with Sukingyu, Sudahu used all his savings to buy a strong cow and a cart for the convenience of going to the village. This was not only convenient for him, but also brought a lot of convenience to the store. Sukingyu watched him leave, thinking about the amount sold today and the amount to be prepared in the future. Once vegetables are left out overnight, they will wilt and almost become spoiled, so it's hard to prepare too many. But it would be even worse if there is no stock on the shelves when opening a store. I didn't expect there would be so many people today, even my mother didn't expect it. I didn't expect so many people would buy the chickens and ducks that were sold separately. Later, your father and sister and I just boiled water to remove the chicken feathers. Suking Nao felt a little sorry when she saw how tired her parents were. Mom and Dad, I've made you tired today. Sue's mother didn't care at all. Hey, why are you talking to your parents? Mom was afraid that your store would have no business, so your father and I didn't sleep well last night. Seeing the store like this today, your father and I feel more relieved. Father Su nodded repeatedly with a smile on his face. Yes, uncle and aunt, I didn't expect there to be so many people. I couldn't even see it, for fear that someone would take advantage of the chaos and not pay for it. In the morning, I was afraid that today's vegetables would not be sold, but I didn't expect that there was only one vegetable rack in the morning. It's empty, Zhou Dejiang exclaimed repeatedly. Sue's father patted his nephew on the shoulder. Work hard at your cousin's place from now on, learn more, and don't let your parents worry. Yes, I will. Zhou Dejiang's fighting spirit ignited in his heart, and his horizons were opened a lot today. The shop was busy again in the afternoon. Maybe they got the news and came to see the strange people. Seeing that the prices of vegetables are not expensive, you can also buy meat separately, and there are a lot of fruits, so I bought a lot of them. Sukingyu and others were tired and happy. Before closing the shop in the evening, everyone gathered together to check the flow of each stall. I found that today's flow was very beautiful, and the gross profit was almost 7 taels of silver. Sukinjao had expected that vegetables and eggs were selling at a low profit. These two items were too expensive and no one came. She didn't expect that the meat stall would make a profit of 1 tael. And the biggest one actually comes from the fruit category. It actually accounted for nearly half of the profits. Everyone was a little surprised. It seems that many people in the town are still willing to eat. At this time, the ripening and storage technology of fruits is not yet mature. Is there anything to be done about it? Sukingyu looked at the water flowing from the fruit and thought about the way out for this stall in the future. The shop is very busy today, but after everyone has seen it, the flow of people will flow back to the vegetable and fish market again. She has to ensure that there is nothing for others but something new for others. Sudahu and others were very excited after seeing today's flow. Sukingyu was also satisfied. She originally thought that the profit would be better than the rent from Lu Bachan's grandfather's farmland, so she would start a small business first and then slowly start other things. Unexpectedly, this small business can actually make a few taels of profit a day, which is still very impressive in 1 month. Sue's father and Sue's mother were also very happy. They followed him all the way to Guanpua. Sukingyu met him too late and asked them to help in the town for a few days, so they stayed. After dinner, I held Yaya and sat down with everyone to discuss. Ching Mao, look at the chicken, duck necks, chicken feet, duck feet, and internal organs left in the store, Mother Su asked. Su's father was also a little worried when he mentioned this. It's easy to sell the meat if it is sold in pieces, but everyone will pick and buy it, so it's better to sell the whole meat to save worry. There is a lot of scraps left, and no one else wants to add more, just throw it away. I feel sorry for it, it's just meat after all, but what should I do? So Qingyu had never thought of this before. She just wanted to kill the chicken, then cut it into two and then cut it into quarters. Naturally, the neck and claws attached to the chicken would be weighed together. Little did she know that people would ask to cut them off. It's not easy to offend customers on the first day of opening a store. As for the offal, she had thought of it before, along with chicken and duck blood, so she asked Sudahu to put it on the stall alone, half selling and half giving away. She really didn't expect this neck claw. As a result, there were 2 large buckets full of neck claws left. Let Aunt Jo take back the Lu family and hers, and there is still a lot left. Yeah, it's a pity to throw it away. Look, there are still a few chicken racks and duck racks, so King Liu was also very worried. I can't let my family eat these every day, because they won't be able to finish them all. Su Qingying also didn't expect this chicken stand and duck stand. There was a customer who only wanted slices of meat, not chicken or duck. Fortunately, this chicken and duck rack is easy to handle and is also very good for making soup. It's just that I can't use so many. If there are a few left every day, I still need to find a regular customer to cover the chicken and duck racks. The leftovers today will be boiled into soup stock tonight, and will be cooked into noodles tomorrow. If there are any leftovers in the future, I will put them on a stall to see if anyone buys them. When no one buys them, I will go to a store to sell them. Like some noodle shops, they have to make soup stock. Yes, we can sell it to him cheaply, it shouldn't be difficult to sell. Will anyone buy it? Mother Su was a little unsure. Everyone wants to eat meat these days, who wants to eat bones? Still occupying the title. Yes. Chicken and duck racks are added with meat or beef bones. After simmering for several hours, the soup will be amazing. Gods will come down to earth after smelling it, so Qingyu said with a smile. Everyone laughed. Mother Su rolled her eyes at her. The gods haven't eaten anything. How can they come down to earth after smelling a mouthful of soup? Because it tastes good. If you don't believe me, I will let my sister endure it and eat it tomorrow morning. It will definitely make you swallow your tongue. Okay, your sister and I will go there for a while. If it doesn't taste good, you can eat the rest, Mother Su said jokingly. Then don't grab it. Because Su Qingyu said she had a way, everyone went to rest after a long day's work. She also returned to Lu's house. Lying on the bed, Su Qingnao put on a facial mask and thought about chicken and duck scraps. She put some of the leftovers into the system and replaced them with facial masks and daily necessities, but the target of poultry scraps was too large for her to handle. Do you want to open a delicatessen shop? There are a lot of things going on. Logically speaking, the 4 of them are enough. The chickens and ducks are slaughtered before the shop is opened. Sudahu is in charge of the meat stall, Daejiang is in charge of the fruit and vegetable stall and restocking, she patrols the market and collects cash, her sister is in charge of mobile. But today, after adding her parents, we are still short of manpower. It takes a long time to boil the firewood and water to scald the chicken feathers, and it takes a while to remove the feathers. In addition, it takes a long time to process the internal organs. Her sister almost never came to the shop, and her cat was always in the backyard. Sudahu's stall was also in various situations today, and customers made various requests. He said that at the end of the day, his head was buzzing. As for her and Dejong, when there were so many people, she and Dejong couldn't see clearly. They had to deal with the problem on the spot and prevent anyone from taking the goods. They were too busy to deal with it. Hey, I really miss the automatic hair removal machines of later generations. Throw the chickens and ducks in, and a naked chicken will come out in a few minutes, even the fine hairs have faded away. Manual plucking duck feathers can make you want to die. Then there is an automatic detector, which will beep and alarm if someone carries goods. Hey, this is such a maddening ancient time. Sukingyu put on the facial mask and thought about a lot of things, then fell asleep. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bh Yaoye 11U. Chapter 64. The next day, Sukingyu specially had breakfast at Lu's house and went out with Lu Shenke. Is something wrong? Lu Shenke walked out of the door and asked her sideways. Well, let's go to the store with Dad to buy some sauces and ingredients. It's up to anyone to buy it. If you have it at home, there's no need to go to other stores to buy it. Otherwise, Mrs. Wu will have something to say if she finds out. Lu Shenke was a little confused. You want to sell these in your store? No, it's because I have a lot of chicken and duck scraps left over. I don't want to waste them, so I want to cook them and see if I can sell them. Lu Shenke nodded and asked about the situation in the store. Sukingyu replied, yesterday the gross profit was a few taels, but it was so high that the number of customers should drop back in a few days. Lu Shenke was a little surprised. With a small business, he could make a few taels of gross profit a day, which was very good. Although his store has a lot of turnover, the gross profit is sometimes only a few taels. Very good. Work hard. If you need Dad's help, just come to Dad. Even if Bocheng is not here, you are still a part of this family. Okay, thank you Dad. Sukingyu followed him to Luyi grocery store and bought oil, salt, sugar, soy sauce, vinegar, aniseed and other items. Some aniseed was not available, so Lu Shenke asked her to go to the drug store to look for it. Lu Shenke didn't want her money, but in the end Sukingyu insisted on letting it go. Then she turned around and went to the drug store to find some aniseed ingredients, then went to the drug store. When we arrived, several people were very busy. Seeing her coming, they all breathed a sigh of relief. There seemed to be more customers today than yesterday. Because there was an event during the opening of the store, bamboo baskets and straw baskets were given as gifts. Many people came empty-handed to watch the excitement and make purchases. Everyone carries several baskets when leaving. Exquisite and durable, you can use it for other purposes next time you take it home, and everyone wants to buy more. Sukingyu bought 2 carts of bamboo basket grass and was about to run out of them. After being busy for a while, she asked Su's father to take over and slipped back to the backyard. Stew the chicken and duck scraps that have been cooked in advance in a large pot. It will take several hours to cook. It seems that we can't make it in time for the morning market. We can only wait and see if it can be sold in the evening market. In the meantime, Mrs. Wu and Aunt Jo came to get the vegetables. Seeing Mrs. Wu specially picked out a lot of fruits, Sukingyu didn't say anything and only asked Aunt Jo to stay and help look at the kitchen for a while. The butcher stall is still very busy today, and there is a market for split meat. Sukingyu and her father and mother Su got up before dawn to kill chickens, but later they had to go back to the backyard to restock. Sukingyu looked at her sister and her mother who were so busy that they didn't even raise their heads. Yaya was tied up and sitting on a small square stool by herself. She felt that they should hire someone to take care of this stall. Let the other party boil water in the backyard to remove hair and collect the scraps. When the morning market was closed, the rich aroma of meat was already wafting out of the braised pot of scraps. Zhou Dajiang and others felt even more hungry after smelling it. When several people were eating, they all picked some to try, and they all thought it was delicious. In the end, they even chewed the bones. It's so delicious before it's even cooked, so it will definitely sell out. It can be sold, but how much should it cost? I have placed a lot of money in it, and the aniseed material is very valuable. When Sue's father heard what Sukingyu said, he suddenly felt that he couldn't afford these pieces of meat. Why are you adding aniseed to this? Can the medicinal materials bought at the drugstore be added to the meat? Why not? I'm patching it up. It still smells good. Dad, don't you think it smells good? It smells good. Why doesn't it smell good? The smell makes me unable to stand in the front store, and there are still customers asking. Then let's take a look at the sales this afternoon. By the afternoon, the pot of leftovers was sold out. He actually got nearly 1 tael of silver, and everyone was a little excited. I'm not worried about the scraps left over today. I also said that if I make money, I'll braise the meat and sell it. Let's take a look first. Don't worry. The data for the first few days of opening cannot be calculated as normal. We still have to wait a few days and take a look, Sukingyu advised everyone. Everyone calmed down. The next day was the third day of opening. The number of customers dropped slightly, but the freshness remained the same. After a few days of chaos, everyone was able to perform their duties and deal with it calmly. At sunset on the third day, Father Su and Mother Su were going back to Kyoto village. After staying for a few days, the step-grandmother would definitely have to talk. Even if they wanted to stay in the town to help their daughter, they would have to go back. When they left, Sukingyu bought a lot of things for them. When they were sent to the entrance of the town, she thought about it and said, "Mom and Dad, please send Qingyang and Qingxin to the town." "Ah, what can they do here? Besides, your grandparents won't agree," Sue's father said. "They are still young and can't do any work at home. Grandma will think that they stay at home just for food. Sending them here saves rice and food at home. They can also help me with some small favors and run errands. Look at you. Ah, you might as well free up my sister." Mother Su thought for a while and said, "It's okay for them to run errands for you, help replenish goods, and help spread the news in the front and back stores. Yaya and the others can also help take care of you, and they can save you a lot of trouble." But your grandma doesn't agree. Sukingyu had thought about this problem for a long time. In the future, I will ask them to take some copper coins from home as their wages in January. They will not eat from home and save rice and grain. Grandma will be willing. Besides, Qingyang has reached the age of enlightenment. I will be in the town when I arrive. Find him a private school and let him study for a few years." Sue's father waved his hands hurriedly. No, 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 how much money does it cost to go to private school? Our family can't afford it. Your grandparents won't agree to it either. None of the grandchildren study, so let Qingyang make an exception. I have an opinion. If you know this, you won't let Qingyang come to town. Mother Su was silent on the side. I originally wanted the two younger ones to come to town to help and bring some coins back to my mother-in-law, who would agree to let them come up. But let Qingyang study? Mother Su's heart moved. Sukingyu glanced at them and said, "Mom and Dad, have you ever thought about it? If my eldest brother doesn't come back in the future, and Qingyang is taken away again in a few years, there will be no male in our eldest family lineage. Let's give it a try. He has been studying for a few years. If he has talent, he will become a scholar in the future and there will be no need to risk his life." Sue's father and Sue's mother were shocked by Sukingyu's words. My heart was shaking. If Qing Song doesn't come back, will Qingyang also be taken away? If they can't come back, then their big room will really be empty. Who will remember his mother then? Who burns paper for his mother? Several daughters even lost their natal families. Sudahai faced this problem squarely for the first time. No, his eldest son must not have an heir. Mother Su was so shocked that she was speechless for a long time. The thought of Qingyang not being able to come back in the future makes my heart clenched. He held Sue's father's hand tightly, and his nails almost dug into Sue's father's flesh. Let Qingyang come to town. Let him come to town. Let's work harder and save money for him to study. We must provide for him to study, Mother Su cried as she spoke. Thinking of Su Kingsong's life and death, and thinking of Qinjiang's unknown fate in the future, tears rolled down her eyes. Su Qingnao didn't expect that her mother would cry. She originally just wanted Sue's father and mother to agree to let the twins come to town, but she was afraid that her step-grandmother would not agree. The two honest parents didn't know what to say when they got home, so they said something like that. Unexpectedly, it made Sue's mother burst into tears. She also felt a little uncomfortable. But I think it would be nice if they could prepare for a rainy day. Sue's father held Sue's mother in his arms and comforted her. Okay, I will go to my father when I get back and ask him to agree to Qingyang Qingxin coming to town. I will ask them to come to town even if they don't agree, Mother Su said firmly. Su Qingyu said with relief, Mom, go back and tell Grandma that I will give them 100 copper coins each in January and let them take it home. Grandma will agree. Don't tell Grandma beforehand if you are studying. Okay, Mom will tell you this when you get back. Yes. The second aunt has been coming to the store these days and has seen the situation in the store. Mom told Grandma that the store is too busy and she wants them to help. Okay, Mom will tell you when she gets back. After saying that, she and Sue's father left the town. The couple was reluctant to pay 50 cash for hiring a taxi. Sudahua went down to the village again, and the two of them insisted on walking back at night. Su Qingyu looked at their backs, feeling quite uncomfortable. It seems that we still need to earn more money and save more money to feel confident. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bhyaoye 11U. Chapter 65. Sue's father and mother Su returned to the village at night, and the house was quiet. Red. The two of them went into the room in the dark and lit oil lamps. Xiao Qingyang and Xiao Qingxin woke up. Father, Mother, are you back? Hey, you're back. Why aren't you sleeping yet? After confirming that the voice was from their parents, the two little ones ran over with their shoes in hand. Mom said she would be back today, so we will wait. You just slept, Xiao Qingyang exposed Xiao Qingxin. I'm not asleep. Otherwise, why would I wake up when I hear my parents' voices? The two brothers and sisters were arguing in front of their parents. With their parents not around, the two little ones have been very cautious these days. They dare not speak loudly and are very obedient, just for fear that Grandma will be unhappy. Father Su and Mother Su smiled and touched each of them. Mother Su took the two children to look at them sadly. When she looked at Qingyang, she looked at him intently for a while and said softly, Your sister bought it for you. I bought a lot of cakes, some of which you haven't tried before. Do you want to eat them? Yes, Xiao Qingxin jumped up. Qingyang hesitated. Let's eat tomorrow. Sister said you can't eat after rinsing your mouth, or your teeth will get damaged. Then can't I rinse my mouth after eating? Xiao Qingxin retorted weakly. Can't we eat again tomorrow? You were asleep just now. Father Su and Mother Su smiled as they watched the two children bickering. Old Su heard the noise and left the room. Is the sea back? Hey, Dad, we are back. Just come back and go to bed early. Why? After Sue's father agreed, he and Sue's mother watched the two children fall asleep, then washed themselves and went to sleep. My feet were sore and swollen from walking, and I was extremely tired. The next day, the Su family all got up. Sue's mother took the pastries bought by Su Qingyu and distributed them to the rich and powerful children and everyone present, and asked Wang to keep the rest. Wow, this pastry is tastier than before. Yes, it looks good. Grandma, I want to eat another piece. I can only have one piece, and I'll eat it later in the afternoon. Ms. Wang refused. No. I want another piece. Yagui followed Wang into the main room, rubbed Wang, and gave him another piece. I happily put it in my mouth, and after finishing it I realized that there was no taste left. I saw Qingyang Qingxing slowly and carefully savoring it, and I wanted to grab it again. Several children made a fuss. Old Suda drank and went to the fields with his hoe. Suda Hai followed him. Old Sutioyu looked back at him and asked, "How is the business at Qing's shop?" "It's okay. It's better than farming. You can save a few dollars a year." Suda Hai picked up some and told him. "That's good. I've worked hard in the fields for a year and there's nothing left. It's up to God to see if God can give me something to eat." After saying that, seeing Suda Hai following him, he was a little confused. "Do you have something to tell me?" Suda Hai hesitated for a long time before saying that he would send Qingyang Qingxing to the town to help. Old Sutioyu looked at him steadily and said, "What can the two of them do? With 200 coins, I can hire a laborer in the town to help." Suda Hai said, nagging, "How can you hire a good family with 200 coins? Besides, if you can't hire someone who can't beat you or scold you, how can you use your own family? Then let your fourth brother go. Food and accommodation in the store, just give him 200 coins. Suda Hai was speechless for a moment. "It's not as convenient for my fourth brother to go to Qingyang Qingxing." "What's the inconvenience? Suda Hu still lives in the hotel? Your brother and King Liu Qing's uncle and nephew are not more convenient than outsiders. Fourth brother, you can work part-time with us on weekdays, and you don't just get 200 coins. It's more than that, but you have to pay for food and accommodation by yourself. Sometimes there are less than 200 coins left in a month. Sometimes when you encounter harsh people, you can't even get your wages." The more old Sutioyu talked, the more he felt that it was a shame to let Su Saiquan go to town. "Good idea. Dad, Qing's shop has just opened. It's a small business and doesn't require so many people. Qingyang Qingxing mainly helps run errands and takes care of Yaya, and..." Suda Hai thought that Qingyang would be able to study in a private school in the future, so he didn't want Su Saiquan to go there. But he was clumsy and tongue-tied in front of Lao Sudu. Lao Sudu glanced at the eldest son and sighed. Maybe it didn't come from the same mother's womb, there must be some barrier. He only looked at his little family before thinking about his other brothers. "Okay, go ahead if you want. But you have to tell Qing Lao that if the business in the store is good, you should think about his fourth uncle and your family." Suda Hai breathed a long sigh of relief and responded in a loud voice, "Don't worry, Dad, King Yu is thinking about her family. She hasn't paid the rent in the store yet, so she bought food for her family. She will do other things in the future. I asked her to think about the business as well." Yes, old Suda was satisfied. After digging with a hoe for a few times, he straightened up and asked Suda Hai, "Qing's shop can sell so many chickens and ducks in one day, do you think our family should raise more? And build a vegetable plot to grow more vegetables? Who should she buy? Isn't it better to buy something from your own home than someone else's?" Suda Hai was stunned and said, "Then I'll ask her later." The next day, before dawn, Su's mother patted her two little children awake. While they were still half asleep, Su's father and Su's mother changed their clothes. Each of them carried the other out of the house and put them on the ox cart of the village chief's house. Looking at the twins lying in Suda Hai's arms, Su's mother confessed, "I won't go, you can just send them there. Don't forget to tell Qing now what Dad said. It would be good for the family to have more income." She naturally has selfish motives in her heart. If the family has a lot of income and there are wealthy people who want to go to school in the future, the family will have money to provide for them. This saves her mother-in-law from obstructing her from going to school. She and Suda Hai didn't close their eyes for 2 nights, thinking about Su Qingyu's words, and finally decided to send Xingyang to study. Even those who sell iron will be sent away. Parents cannot do nothing for their children. If he can't read it out, that's his fate, as long as they live up to their parents' wishes. Yeah. I'll be back in the afternoon. In a few days, I'll go to a neighboring town with people from the village to do odd jobs and save some money. The twins slept in their father's arms all the way and woke up when they reached the town. Thinking that I was going to see my two sisters and Yaya soon, I was so excited that I couldn't sit still, and I thought the village chief's ox cart was too slow. "Grandpa, village chief, you must have not fed your cow. Look at it, it doesn't even have the strength to run away." The village chief laughed. "You and your sister rode in a carriage last time, and we compared it with a carriage. My ox cart can go very fast, with a strong ox that is only 3 years old." Xiao Qingxing looked at the strong cow and wrinkled her nose. "Humph, it can't walk as fast as me. It's as slow as a snail." Lao Niu was disgusted, so he turned his head and blew a breath of hot breath at her with a moo, which made Xiao Qingxing extremely disgusted. The folks on the ox cart all laughed. "Encourage her, Qingxing, hurry down and compete with it to see who can run faster." "I don't want it." Everyone laughed. The village chief asked Sudahai and Sukingyu about opening a store. Many of the folks in the car had had vegetables and poultry collected by Sudahu. They all knew about this and started asking. "Madam, she has a tender heart." Author, Bha Xiaoye 11U. Chapter 66. "Sister, sister, we are here," the two little things shouted from a distance before they reached the shop. When Sukingyu heard the sound and walked out of the shop, the two little things rushed towards her. "Sister, are you happy that we are here?" Sukingyu touched their heads and said with a smile, "I'm happy, sister is happy." The two little things pulled her from left to right and jumped to express their excitement. This scene happened to be seen by Siekio, who followed the old servant of the family out for a walk, and looked at it with envy on his face. After Sukingneo finished making out with the two little ones, he saw his father walking over with several fellow villagers, and hurriedly went over to say hello. After hearing their purpose, he led them around the store. The village chief and several villagers walked around the store and praised it. "Can you still sell vegetables like this? It's clean, tidy, and hygienic. I'm willing to buy it here. Can chickens be sold separately? It's very convenient. If you kill a chicken and you can't finish it, it's a waste, and if you leave it, it won't be saved. I want to cut off 2 ounces of it. Dahuo, can you sell the 2 ounces? Sudahu greeted them with a smile, and responded while busy, "Sell it, why don't you sell it? Sell it if you give me the money." Ha ha ha, a group of people gathered around to joke. After only seeing him for a few days, his whole demeanor had changed, which was a bit strange. While they were talking, Qingyang Qingxing had already rushed to the backyard, hugging King Liu and competing to hug Yaya. "Yaya, my uncle and aunt are here, are you happy? I don't have to tie you up anymore. When the time comes, my uncle and aunt will take you to the street to watch the fun, okay?" When Yaya saw a familiar person, she screamed excitedly and struggled to get down, her little hand pointing outside. It seemed like she was suffocated in the backyard. After seeing off a few villagers, Su's father came over to help and asked, "Qing Lao, the village chief and others said they would sell you vegetables, chickens, and ducks. Do you want to accept them? Take it, as long as the goods are good. Brother Dahu should have publicized it in the village. I have said it before, but didn't everyone wait and see at that time? Now that I have seen it in person, I guess they will sell it to you in the future." "That's great." When Su's father heard her say that she could collect vegetables from the villagers, he felt relieved. They were all villagers. Sukingyu glanced at her father and smiled. "Who is buying it is not buying it. As long as the goods are good." Su's father mentioned what old Su Turang asked again. Sukingyu thought for a while and said, okay. But when planting vegetables, it's best to plant more varieties instead of the common ones. It's best to plant things that are rare in the market and less popular among others. Only then can the chickens and ducks be sold at a high price, and the residents of the town can also enjoy the food. If you want to raise chickens and ducks, you must pay attention to hygiene and don't let the chickens and ducks get sick, and then you will lose money if you don't make any money. Dad knows this and will tell his family. Yeah. Also, Dad, please go back and tell Grandma not to save eggs. It's best to sell them one day at a time. It's hot and the eggs won't hold. If they go bad, they won't be sold, and you'll have to compensate the customers. Eggs are fragile, and it is not easy for country people to go to the city. They have to save a lot of them before they go there to sell them. The first time Sukingyu went to the market to buy vegetables, she also bought bad eggs, but the villagers didn't have a fixed stall. People left after selling, and she didn't know when she would see him next time. Even if you can see him, it's hard to ask him to apologize, and people may not recognize him. But she is in the fixed store business, so she shouldn't ruin her reputation. The goods must be well selected. Dahu is going to the neighboring town in the afternoon. Dad, if you have nothing to do, go with him. Go into the village to see if there are any rare vegetables, buy some seeds from the other party and plant them back, and collect some fruits and wild fruits. The master likes to eat fresh and novel food. Dad, please buy some unusual vegetable seeds and go back to plant them. Okay, then Dad will go with him. Sudahai thought that he would be going to a neighboring county to do odd jobs in a few days, so he happened to go and have a look. In the afternoon, after Sudahu and Su's father left, Sukingyu was too busy, so she also used the twins. The two little ones followed him and ran to the front and back of the store. They were very excited. A thin layer of sweat broke out on their foreheads, but they couldn't stop their excitement. The short legs fly very fast, helping the guests to carry vegetables and baskets. After being praised by the guests, her little face turned red and she felt quite proud. The two children even competed with each other and were full of energy. It made Sukingyu look very funny. After closing the shop, while eating the rice cooked by Sukingyu, the two little ones kept saying it was delicious and said it was better than the food at home. I cooked 2 big bowls of rice in a row. Even Yaya didn't want anyone to feed her, and insisted on eating by herself with a wooden spoon. After eating, there were grains of rice everywhere on the table and on her clothes. She was not angry at all and grinned happily at her 2 uncles and aunts. After dinner, her uncle and aunt took her to the street to play. She squealed with excitement and bounced on the bed all night, refusing to sleep. As a result, Sukingyu came out the next day with a black eye. With 2 little ones busy, Sukingyu felt a lot more relaxed, and Sukingyu no longer had to run to see Yaya from time to time. After the twins arrived, Sukingyu rarely went back to Lu's house for dinner. Since the opening, Ms. Wu has always let Aunt Jo go to the store to get the food directly, and has never let her go to the vegetable market to buy food. Aunt Jo was out of luck, and Sukingyu felt a little sorry. She can buy vegetables at a lower price than the market price, or ask others to give her more vegetables that are not good looking so that she can take them back to the Jo family and save the Jo family's food. That is her ability. Ms. Wu had discussed the vegetable prices with her over and over again before, and Sukingyu couldn't stand it. Fortunately, Aunt Jo has a good temper. If she was doubted every day, she would have given up long ago. After Aunt Jo took the food from the store, the Jo family naturally ran out of money. Since Sukingyu opened the store, Aunt Jo has come to help her when she can. Sukingyu likes her very much. Now that she wanted to find someone else, she naturally thought of her home first. She wanted to separate Sudahu from doing other things, so Sukingyu could no longer stay in the backyard. On this day, Sukingyu found Aunt Jo and said to her, "Aunt Jo, My store needs someone who can defeather chickens, ducks, and geese, boil water in the kitchen, and cook them. Do you think your mother-in-law would like to come over, help?" Aunt Joe listened blankly at first. When she came to her senses, she nodded hurriedly and said, "I'm willing to do it. My mother-in-law is old, her eyes are not as good as when she was young, and her hands and feet are slow in needlework, but the stove at her home it's a very easy job for us. Well, for the job of boiling water in the kitchen and keeping an eye on the fire, I'll give her 300 cents a month, and I'll give her 1 cent a month for feathering the chickens and ducks. If the store sells more, she'll get more. If the store sells less, she'll get more. It can be easier." Aunt Joe nodded in agreement. During this period, the store sold more than 50 chickens and ducks a day, so she knew she came to help. Even if the difference is 10 less than 1 day, there will still be 300 coins in a month. Moreover, if a customer buys a whole piece, the store only charges the customer 2 cents for the gross fee. Seeing that she agreed, Sukingyu added, "If the store sells less than 10 poultry a day, I will give you a fixed monthly payment of 500 yuan a month. A few days ago, some people bought chickens and ducks at the vegetable market, or you can bring chickens and ducks from home to be defeathered. I'll take care of them since the store is busy. If your mother-in-law has time, she can take them if she's willing." "Okay, okay, we are willing to do it," Aunt Joe thanked Sukingyu repeatedly. "Prepare to go home and tell her mother-in-law the good news. Madam, she has a tender heart." Author, Bhaya 11U. Chapter 67. After Aunt Joe left, Sukingyu and others asked her why she set the wage so much. Wouldn't it be easier to pay a fixed monthly payment? Counting every day. Read. Sukingyu smiled and asked Sukingyu, "If you were asked to pluck your hair every day, would you be willing?" Sukingyu thought about the extremely quiet and happy days during this period, and nodded, "I definitely would like it. It is much easier than working in the fields, and easier than squatting on the bluestone slab to wash a basin of clothes. I am willing to sit on the bench every day pluck the hair." Sukingyu glanced at her. Then he asked, "But if you pluck 50 duck feathers a day, I will give you 10 cents a day, and I will give you 10 cents a day if you pluck 1 duck feather. Would you rather pluck 50 duck feathers or 1? 1, Xiao Qingxing said eagerly. "Yeah, I'm definitely willing to pull out just 1." Xiao Qingyang also agreed. Seeing that her brother agreed with her, Xiao Qingxing nodded happily to Sukingyu. Sukingyu smiled and held her in her arms. Seeing everyone thinking deeply, she said, "If you only pluck a few poultry feathers a day, suddenly you have to pluck many birds one day, many times more, but the money you get it's all the same, so there will definitely be emotions in my heart. And if you plucking one to give money to another, you will get more, so if you plucking a few more, the task will be heavier, and your heart will be heavier. Happy too?" "Well, I'm happy because the more money I get, the more money I get," Xiao Qingxing said again. "Yes, Xiao Qingxing is so smart," Sukingyu said approvingly. Sukingyu looked at her 2 youngest siblings, seeing them right in front of her, seeing them becoming more and more lively and cheerful, and felt as if she was eating honey. "It's great to be able to be with my brothers and sisters from my mother's family, have good food and housing, and get paid for my work. This day is like a dream." When Sukingyu said this, everyone present understood. Sudahu and Zhou Dejiang nodded repeatedly. It turned out that there was so much knowledge here, and they felt that they had learned a lot. Sudahu looked at the energetic Sukingyu in front of him, feeling both sweet and bitter in his heart. After thinking for a while, he said, "Qing Lao, after my mother-in-law came that week, the eldest sister went to the front store to help. I'd better help you run out to collect the goods. Run further to see if there are any novel fruits and wild fruits. Town. There are still many people in the world who are willing to eat fruit." Sukingyu nodded. "Fruits account for half of the store's profits. She had some ideas originally, but when Sudahua brought it up, she started discussing it with him. Ask him to pay more attention to any special fruits, whether they are ripe or not, and be sure to sign a contract with the other party. Don't be caught off guard when the season arrives, so don't wait until the season arrives. She has a way to accelerate ripening. She doesn't have to wait until the fruit is fully ripe before picking it up at her door. That way, it won't last for a few days, and there will be a lot of damage when it is shipped back. When the time comes, it will be put on the market and the price will not be high. Sudahua always resolutely implemented Sukingyu's decision, nodding while listening. After giving instructions to Sudahua, Sukingyu gave Zhou Dejiang a few more instructions. This kid is quick and hard-working and has a bright eye, but he is a bit lacking in dealing with others and is not tactful enough. When encountering a tricky customer, he not only fails to solve the problem, but often makes mistakes, and has to ask Sukingyu to follow him to solve the problem. Sukingyu still wanted him to stand alone and be responsible for his part. Seeing Sukingyu teaching Zhou Dejiang, other people also added to it and pointed out his problems. Cousin Dejiang, you just love to blush and can't save face. Today, the mother-in-law obviously loves to take advantage. She wants to put a few garlics in a separate basket and a few fruits in a separate basket. We all bought those baskets with money. When she came, she took a lot of them and didn't buy anything yet. Xiao Qingyang said. That's right, we also paid to collect that basket. That mother-in-law did something wrong, and you should stop her. But when you were teased by that mother-in-law, you blushed and let her take it away. I stood next to you and said wink, you can't even see it. My brother and I want to grab it, huh? Sudahua also smiled and patted him on the shoulder. That's right, a man blushes so easily. What's the point of blushing if he didn't say we were kissing? Her daughter is not good looking, so you don't dare to look at her. She has the nerve to look at you, why don't you still, are you embarrassed to look at her? Zhou Dejiang responded with his head buried. When Sukingyu saw it, he smiled and said, Dejiang is doing very well now. In the first few days, it was difficult for him to deal with people who took food without paying. Cousin, I will study hard in the future. Sukingyu nodded. In the future, when the store is not busy, you and your big tiger brother will go to the countryside to see how he talks and negotiates with people. He is now invulnerable and his skin is much thicker. Sudahua smiled and said, yes, I will take you with me next time when I am not busy. Okay. Then I'll learn from Gaduk. Early the next morning, before the store was open, Grandma Zhou came. As soon as he came, he got into the kitchen to boil water, and quickly went to the chicken coop in the backyard to catch a chicken, and quickly shed its feathers. I was able to spare my hand and help make breakfast. By the time we opened the shop, a dozen chickens and ducks had been killed. It made Sukingyu feel much more relaxed. On this day, with Grandma Zhou helping out in the backyard, there was no shortage of meat at the meat stall, and no customers were kept waiting. After a few days of this, all the chickens and ducks that the customers bought outside were brought over to help them shed their feathers. Each chicken was charged 2 cents, and almost half of the people who bought chickens and ducks were brought over for help to clean up. Anyone who can afford to eat a whole chicken or duck will still be willing to pay 2 cents. You have to clean it up yourself when you take it home, and you have to clean up the dirt, so why be stingy with the 2 cents? There are some people who want to follow the example of the vegetable market, but most of the chickens and ducks sold are farmers in the countryside who select and sell them themselves. It is difficult to make money without a shop, water, or tools. The pork shop has conditions, but people don't like the small money. As a result, Granny Zhou never stopped working for almost a day, and her business was booming. Occasionally, Sukingyu saw that she was too busy and wanted to go over to help, but the old man waved her away. Plausibly, why do you young people get involved in such things as killing animals? Just let us people with half our legs buried in the loess come. Don't block the luck of your children. They refused to let Sukinglio and others help. After hearing what Grandma Jo said, even those who wanted to save a few pennies in the end brought their chickens and ducks over and asked for help to remove the hair. Although Grandma Jo was busy this day, she never stopped smiling. In order to facilitate settlement, Sukinglio paid for hair removal on the same day. After closing the shop every day, the old man would walk home with a heavy purse and some leftover dishes that didn't look good. When he walked, his steps would be flying and his body would be brisk. The next day, I was in high spirits and ran over to work before dawn. Later, Sukinglio saw that she was squatting on the ground and her back was not good after a long time, so she asked Sudahu and Jo Daejiang to set up a half-height platform so that she could stand or sit down to operate. The old man thanked him profusely and was even more energetic. And when she wasn't busy, she helped take care of Yaya. Because she was patient, Yaya was willing to let her take care of her, so the old and the young had a good time. A few days later, Granny Jo came to see Sukinglio. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bhaya 11U. Chapter 68. Mother-in-law, are you okay? Yeah, something's wrong. Next, Granny Jo said that she felt a pity seeing chicken, duck, and goose feathers being poured out every day. She thought of the down jacket that Sukinglio asked her family to help make, and of the badminton made for her grandson. She wondered if it could be used, and it would be a pity to throw it away. Sukinglio was stunned after hearing this, and for the first time he looked at the waste thrown out. She makes the scraps into stew and sells them, and she can make some money in a day. This waste. For badminton, the feathers and coils on the ball can be made into a simple version, but the head, Sukinglio couldn't find a suitable elastic material. The last time I saw Aunt Jo's youngest son being locked up at home to help with the work, he was a bit timid. I saw him hiding alone in the door watching the children playing in the alley, with envious eyes. Sukinglio looked a little distressed, so she made a badminton for him to play with. As for the racket, you don't necessarily need to use a special racket. Even wooden blocks can be played against each other. A simple version can be made. However, the ball head has no elasticity, and the evaporation effect is greatly reduced. It's okay to make it for children to play with, but it's not okay to make it for sale. There were also many exquisite children's toys in this era, which Sukinglio had never seen before. She didn't want to bother thinking about areas she was unfamiliar with. The stiff feathers of geese can be used to make quills. It has been popular in Europe for 1,000 years, which shows that there is a market for it. But Sukinglio didn't intend to use it. Charcoal pens are great, and you don't have to carry ink. As for down jackets, the process is more complicated and the cost is not low. If you sell too little, you will lose money. If you sell too much, no one will buy it, and rich people may not be willing to buy it. I can save the fluff and make a few for my family. The one she made for Lu Bachan was actually a bit different, but at least the hair didn't get out. At that time was tight, so she only focused on keeping warm, and did not take into account other aspects. As for chicken feathers, they can be used as dusters and keys. There are feather dusters in Luji's grocery store, which cost 3.5 cents a piece. It takes several to make one, but it's not labor intensive. Hey, she seems to be a little swollen. This is not good or bad. After thinking for a while, she said, Grandma Jo, we can't spare the time to take care of this. If you feel sorry for it, pick it up and clean it up. When the time comes, our family will use the down to make clothes. As for the chicken feathers, I cleaned it up to see if I can make it into a duster, but these tasks are too trivial. Not too fine, not too fine. My mother-in-law can do it. It won't delay the work in the store. You don't know how envious we were of Bocheng's down jacket. My little grandson even said that if he had one like this in winter, he can also go out and play. Okay, then mother-in-law, you have to work harder. It's not hard, it's not hard. After saying this, Granny Joe went about her business happily. The corners of his mouth turned up. It's great that I have such a job, where I can't be exposed to wind or rain, and I can still get so much money back in a month to supplement my family's income. Save more and save up enough money for your grandson to marry a daughter-in-law. The old man's face lit up with joy. By the end of the month, the store gradually got back on track, and the gross profit per day was stable at around 4 or 5 taels. Sukingyu was satisfied. This morning, there was no one in the store, so Sukingyu patrolled the store to look at the goods and make inventory. While he was checking, Xiaoqingyang and Xiaoqingxing ran in panting, "Sister, there are several vegetable shops opened in the town. There is one on the next street, one on South Street, and one on North Street. It's bigger than ours. Degree. Also, my second aunt also opened a store next to her oil shop. The shelves are exactly the same as ours. My brother and I have secretly visited it." Xiao Qingxing said angrily. "Ah, the second aunt also opened a restaurant." So King Liu heard the sound and ran in from the backyard. "Well, yes. The second aunt is so bad. It doesn't matter if others drive it, she is our second aunt, and she still wants to compete with us for business." So Qingyu listened quietly, and the movements of her hands gradually slowed down. She thought someone would imitate it, but she didn't expect it to happen so quickly. It hadn't even been a month since she opened her shop. After being stunned, he saw that Su Qingliu was anxious to go to the second aunt's shop, so he grabbed her and asked her to look at the shop. She took the twins out of the shop. The decorations of the 4 vegetable shops in the town are almost identical to her shop, and the shelves are all made the same. I wonder if they were made by a carpenter's shop. The decorations on the shelves are also like hers, with small portions bundled and packaged, and the meat is divided into high and low quality. The meat is also sold unpacked. There are many people watching the fun in the 4 stores. In order to compete for customers, each store imitates her and does various activities, such as buying meat and giving vegetables, buying fruits and giving eggs, etc. Like hers, there are 2 stores open in residential areas, and 2 stores are open on prosperous streets. For example, her second aunt opened it on Wang Street, next to her oil shop. The shop is quite big, it hosts events, the food is cheap, and there are a lot of people crowding in. Su Qingnao remembered that there was a noodle shop next to the oil shop, and the business was very good. How did her second aunt convince her to transfer the money to the shop? Su Qingyu did not enter her second aunt's shop, but stood on the street, looking at the crowds of people who kept pushing in. I could also hear the sound of her second aunt happily soliciting guests. Overnight, 4 similar shops opened in the town. Su Qingyu was caught off guard. On the way back to her shop, she thought about countermeasures. Seeing that she didn't speak, the 2 little things followed her quietly, pursed their lips and had a stern face, and pulled her angrily from left to right. Returning to the shop, she stayed there until the afternoon. Seeing that there was no one in the shop, Su Qingyu thought about it, took the money and went to the shop owner, "Old man Siet. I also brought the twins with me. Why did you come to my house? Are you afraid that I, a guest, will run away, so you came to keep me?" Old man Siet said jokingly. "I'm here to give you money," Su Qing'an said with a smile. "Really? It seems that your shop has made a lot of money during this period. No wonder several convenience food shops opened in the town overnight." After the old servant of the Xie family took the purse, he turned around and went back to the room without counting it. Old man Xie saw his grandson and the twins staring at each other, and couldn't help laughing. Seeing the light in his grandson's eyes, He pushed him, "Go and play with your brother and sister." Seeing the twins looking at her, Suqing'an also nodded, "Go, have fun, don't fight." Yes, several children responded and walked away hand in hand. "I've seen you before," the young master Siekio said. "Ah, when?" "On the day you first came." "Ah, so early. But we just met you. How old are you?" "My sister and I are 6 years old." "I'm 7. Then you're older than us. Then you should call me brother." The children turned the corner and disappeared while talking. Old man Xie felt comforted when he saw his grandson become lively when he saw his peers. He glanced at Suqing'an and said, "Don't worry, even if you open more vegetable shops, my old servant will only buy from yours and won't delay your family's money." Suqing'an originally came to attract regular customers and pay back the money. Unexpectedly, the other party spoke before she said anything, which made Suqing'an very grateful. As for old man Xie, first, he saw that Suqing'an was a decent person doing business, and he admired her very much. Second, he was very satisfied with the things and services in her shop. No matter how well others imitated, they could not imitate her essence, so he was unwilling to change for a few cents. "Thank you, sir. We will deliver everything to you if it is inconvenient for you in the future. Tell us what you want to eat and we will find it for you." "That would be great. But my old servant is willing to go out for a walk in the morning. When he doesn't want to move, you can deliver it to his door." "Okay, I will." After talking to him for a while, Suqingmei also saw that he was a wise old man. There was no generation gap between the two of them in their communication, and it was very pleasant. When they left, they didn't expect the 3 children to play better and were reluctant to separate. Seeing that his grandson rarely had like-minded children to play with, old man Xie left the 2 little ones behind. Suqingmei had to go back to the shop alone. "Madam, she has a tender heart." Author, Bhyaoye 11U. Chapter 69. Because there were 4 vegetable shops opening in the town that day, I didn't know it was an auspicious day, but I had made an appointment, and each shop held activities, which attracted many regular customers from Suqing's shop. There were no customers in the shop all day. Suqingyu secretly collected some leftovers into the system, asked Granny Zhou to take some back, and asked De Zhang and others to deliver a lot to some regular customers. The store closed early, and thinking that she hadn't gone back to Lu's house for dinner in a long time, she went back to Lu's house. Before reaching the main room, I heard the laughter of Lu Yizhu and his 2 brothers coming from the main room, and the sound echoed through the roof. Suqingyu walked over and saw the 3 of them throwing plums, apricots and other fruits to each other, catching them with their mouths, catching them with one hand, catching them with their back hand, jumping to catch them, bending down to catch them, and making flowers with the fruits. Looking at the ground, there were fruits scattered all over the ground, including plums, apricots, and dates. Many of them were smashed to pieces. All of them are fruits from Suqing's shop. Even the basket on the table is exclusive to customers in her shop. When the 3 brothers and sisters saw Suqingneo coming, they didn't restrain themselves at all. They grabbed a lot of them from the basket and threw them at each other. A few of them almost hit Suqingneo. She exploded immediately. He rushed forward and kicked Lu Yizhu to the ground along with the chair. Lu Yizhu was caught off guard and was kicked down immediately, falling to the ground. Lu Boza reacted, stood up and rushed towards her. Suqingyu waited for him to come closer and kicked him 3 inches below his knees, knocking him to the ground. His knees hit the bluestone tiles with a bang. He immediately bared his teeth and grimaced in pain. Lu Bozong was stunned on the spot. Seeing Suqingyu walking towards him, he apologized repeatedly, "Sister-in-law, I was wrong. I was wrong, sister-in-law." Suqingyu glared at him, gave him a cold look, walked to the chair next to him, raised her leg and kicked. The chair flew out immediately. It hit the door frame hard, and after a loud bang, it fell to the ground again, and several armrests and chair legs were broken apart. Lu Yizhu and Lu Bozu, who originally got up and wanted to rush over to fight with her, were frightened out of their wits. The boss stared at him with disbelief on his face. Lu Bozong shook a few times and apologized, "Sister-in-law, we were wrong. We don't dare to do it anymore." He was so frightened by Su Qingyu's actions. Was his sister-in-law so strong? Today, 4 vegetable shops opened in the town, and Mrs. Wu went out to watch the excitement. Su Qingyu's second aunt was her good friend, and she went to her shop to watch the fun. Seeing that the second aunt Su Qingyu had opened a vegetable shop and the business was booming, the fire in Wu's heart ignited again. He specializes in running his own grocery store, trying hard to open a vegetable shop like this for Lu Shenke. Was rejected by Lu Shenke. Mrs. Wu angrily walked in before Lu Shenke. Seeing this situation in the main room, he jumped up immediately. "Su, what are you going to do? Do you still have these brothers and sisters in your eyes? Your father and I are not at home, and you treat them like this? You are still the eldest sister-in-law. Your father-in-law and I are not dead yet." Lu Shenke originally rejected Su, but seeing her angry again, he followed her home from the shop early. He took a step slowly, saw Sushi yelling, and quickly followed him to take a look. Seeing the appearance of the main room, he frowned and shouted, "What's going on?" Su Qingyu was too lazy to speak. She was feeling sulky today, and when she got home she saw the results of how the 3 brothers and sisters in the hall treated her. "The fire in my heart could not be suppressed no matter what. The Lu family's shop is also a small business. The family also has 2 sons who spend money to study, and the Wu family is in charge of the business. When Aunt Jo buys vegetables, Wu has to check the price with her, for fear that she will swallow the oil and water. We don't eat meat every day at home, and we don't see fruit twice a week. And since Su Qingyu opened the shop, Wu has been spending a lot of money. The dishes were all over the table and it was impossible to finish them all. Aunt Jo was afraid of wasting it, so she picked up a lot of leftovers every day. And meat is available in every meal, and there are many varieties. Fruit is also available every day, and I eat it alternately." Originally, Su Qinjiao felt that Lu Bachan and she were both part of the family, and since Lu Bachan was married, he had a share of the responsibility to support the family, so she didn't care if Wu didn't pay for the food she took from the store. Unexpectedly, this actually fueled her anger. "Look at this, it's reached the point where you're eating one and throwing the other away." Su Qingyu's anger couldn't be suppressed at all. Wu didn't know that everyone in their store, from her to the 2 twins, cherished every vegetable leaf. Every egg and fruit must be wiped clean before being put on the shelves. Then watching them being picked up, I felt a sense of accomplishment. When she came back and saw the fruits in this place being ruined like this, she immediately exploded. How can I suppress my anger? After hearing Lu Bozong explain the matter, Lu Shenke became a little angry and cursed Lu Bozu and others. Lu Yizhu looked unconvinced. "Isn't it just a few fruits? Can't our family afford it? I can eat it if I want and throw it away. This is my Lu family. Don't look at it if you can't see it. Your surname is Su, his surname is not Lu." "Yizhu, why are you talking to your sister-in-law?" Lu Shenke shouted. Su Qingyu looked at her coldly. "My surname is Su, but my husband's surname is Lu. If he doesn't divorce me, I am a member of this family. Of course I will say it if he can't stand it. And what you are ruining is the things you took from my store. I can't stand it. You have money, but you still don't pay for my food. If you don't give me money, you still waste it and don't let me talk. How can you get used to it? Since your husband's surname is Lu, you and he have the responsibility to support the family. We haven't separated yet. All the money you earn should be taken home. What happened to your food? How much does it cost for a few dishes? You don't have much money, So why don't you give me some money? You are so rich, but you are so stingy about how much you pay for food. After Sukingyu finished speaking, she looked at Wu again. Does this mean that the family has not been separated and she wants to get back what she earned? Then he said, when it comes to raising a family, let's raise it together. There is no reason that only my eldest house is responsible. And you are responsible for spending money. Since my eldest house has a share of supporting the family, then I should also share the income from the store and rent it. Let Dad calculate the income from the shop and give him a share of the monthly money. We can't just go in and out, treat them separately. Why? You still want the profits from the branch shop? You have such a big face. Lu Yizhu and Wu jumped up at the same time. I didn't use my family's money to open a shop. That's my dowry private property. After Su Qingnao finished speaking, she looked at Lu Shenke. Lu Shenke said nothing. He promised Bo Chen not to interfere with the Su family. He silently looked at the ruined and trampled fruits on the ground. He also endured hard times. When I was a child, it was rare to eat fruit even once a month in the village, and wild fruits had to be snatched. There are many children in the village, and all the wild fruits in the fields are picked before they are ripe. He also saw the changes on the dinner table during this period. There were a lot more meat and dishes. He just thought it was Su's filial piety. He didn't expect that Wu took household expenses from him but didn't give it to Su. From now on, I will give it to Bo Cheng's family every month. If the shop's business is good at the end of the year, Dad will also give you money for the new year. Lu Shenke made the final decision. After finishing speaking, without waiting for anyone else's reaction, he saw Aunt Jo standing outside the main room with an uneasy look on her face, and said to her, "Place the food." Hey, Aunt Jo wiped her sweat and ran away. She had been worried about the Bo Cheng family being bullied just now and wanted to help. Unexpectedly, she faced Wu and others alone and did not lose at all. Sure enough, what her mother-in-law said was right, the Bo Cheng family would definitely go further in the future. Her Zhou family must follow her closely. Mrs. Wu was dissatisfied when she heard that Lu Shenke said that she wanted to help Su Qingyu's family. Taking her 2 ounces of food, do you think highly of her, and dare to ask her for household expenses? Increase income for your shop? You are so beautiful. Mrs. Wu acted as if nothing had happened, and even scolded Lu Yizhu and the others in front of Lu Shenke, doing what a mother should do. But he quickly came up with a countermeasure in his mind. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bha Xiaoye 11U. Chapter 70. From that day on, Mrs. Wu never went to Su Qingyu's shop to get food. Aunt Jo is no longer given the task of buying groceries, but Wu goes out to buy them herself. Now she doesn't have to go to the dirty vegetable market. The vegetable shop is clean and hygienic, her clothes are not dirty, and the meat can be bought separately. Wu takes over the job herself. I'll go to that house today, go to Aunt Su's house tomorrow, and change to another house the day after tomorrow. Go to whichever store sells cheaper, go to whichever store has activities. Su Qingyu didn't care at all what she did. Lu Bachan was not here, so she was like an outsider in that family. There was a scene, and he became more and more incompatible with that family. When Lu Yizhu and others saw her, they not only didn't even say hello, but also treated her as if they were a stranger. Su Qingjao was not welcomed by the Wu family and her son in that family, and she loved staying in the shop more and more with her sister Yaya and her brothers and sisters. I ate all 3 meals in the shop, except when I went back to sleep. After several similar vegetable shops opened in the town, they had a big impact on Su Qingyu's shop. The immediate impact was that Sudehu told her that her parents would no longer sell vegetables to her. Second, Aunt Su collected vegetables from Kyoto village and nearby villages at a high price. Many families in the village changed their ways, and even her natal family sold vegetables to her second aunt. Her father also listened to her second aunt's words and replanted several acres of land at home with vegetables, and opened up a large piece of wasteland to raise chickens and ducks, just to supply her second aunt and sell meat and eggs. Her step-grandmother Wang also found a job for her fourth uncle. Like Sudahua, she helped second aunt Su go to the countryside to collect vegetables, fruits, chickens, ducks, and other poultry. Su Qingyu was silent for a long time after hearing this. Then he asked, "Is it because the vegetables can't be collected?" Sudahua was silent and replied, "With the help of your grandparents in Kyoto village, we can't take it in. But overall, it doesn't have a big impact on us. We have signed agreements with people outside Kyoto village before, and they didn't want to sell it to us. But they complained about the high prices of vegetables in the surrounding areas and asked us if they could increase the prices. The amount of vegetables they supplied us was reduced, and I couldn't figure out why they couldn't harvest the vegetables from the fields. Those who have not signed a contract and collected them piecemeal cannot be collected. It is human nature to seek advantages and avoid disadvantages." Although Su Qingyu felt uncomfortable, she had nothing to say. It's not easy for farmers to make a penny, so who wouldn't want more money from selling? She understands. But I just felt so anxious. Now several vegetable shops are obviously working against her, charging high prices and selling low prices, trying to seize the market and share her customer base. But she cannot follow up and charge high prices and sell low prices. Vicious competition will lead to adverse effects and the market will be chaotic. Now that the number of customers has decreased, the number of dishes sold cannot be as high as before. But we have to accept the food from the villagers who signed the contract. The vegetables are ripe in batches, but if they are not harvested, they will rot in the ground. Although some people may wish she would charge less so that they could sell it to someone else for a higher price. But since she signed a contract, she had to fulfill it. Sales volume is low, and she has no intention of lowering prices accordingly. But when the food is put on the shelves, it has to be sold and left to rot. That night, she carted away the remaining vegetables in the store and said she wanted to give them away, so she didn't ask for help. She pushed the cart by herself, found a place where no one was around, and put the vegetables into the system. Read another book instead. In the next few days, she made some changes to the store. The leftover eggs and duck eggs are all pickled into salted eggs, the leftover meat is sold as braised pork, the leftover vegetables are tried to be made into pickles, dried vegetables, and dehydrated dried vegetables. The same goes for fruits, which are made into preserved fruits and dried fruits. Anyway, the leftovers of the day, except for eggs, will not be kept for sale the next day. Dried vegetables and pickled vegetables are also available locally. The cooking methods are similar, but the taste is different in each house. Su Qingyu mainly wants to make dehydrated dried vegetables and dried fruits. She wanted to think about these two things that others couldn't do. Everyone was depressed for a few days, but when they saw that Su Qingyu had a countermeasure, they suddenly became more motivated to fight. Granny Zhou said with a tone of experience, "That's right. How can there be no setbacks in doing business? You just have to become more courageous with more setbacks. I have been idle for a few days, and I am not used to it. The busier I am, the more energetic I am." Next, while everyone was groping about making kimchi and dried fruits and vegetables, the store also provided various services. Since everyone sells the same thing, I have something that no one else has, and something new that everyone has. For regular customers, as long as they pay a deposit, they will be delivered to your door. The few noodle shops and small restaurants we talked about before have not changed owners even after signing contracts. Su Qingyu was grateful to them and helped them wash, cut, and prepare the vegetables, saving them time in secondary operations. Occasionally, I would also give them some advice on the store. Several noodle shops and small restaurants have become more and more convinced of her shop, and others will not leave if they promise that the food prices are 10% or 20% cheaper. As for the special guests we talked about before, such as those with handicapped legs and feet, widows and young girls, and those whose identities are unknown and inconvenient to go out, Sukingyu also visited them one by one and presented them with cakes she made. Because of her considerate service, this group of people also identified her shop. Yang Guiwuguan, Lu Bachan's friends, Lu Juyi and other people's families also expressed their willingness to support her. Sukingyu also personally sent cakes to express her gratitude. Now Grandma Jo doesn't kill so many chickens and ducks in a day. Sukingneo asked her and found out that she was good at making pasta. The store immediately followed and put out dumpling wrappers, wonton wrappers, wrapped dumplings, wontons, and all kinds of noodles. People who come to the shop are dumbfounded. Someone has already rolled out the dumpling skins for you. And the wrapped raw dumplings, wontons, and rolled noodles. Doing the math, it's not much more expensive than buying it and making it yourself. Look at the shelves again. Are the melons and vegetables peeled? Have you peeled the green beans and lentils too? Do you peel garlic and sell it? So fresh. There is less rubbish thrown away at home. This action immediately attracted a wave of customers. Look, a lot of strange people have returned, and the daily flow has also increased a lot. However, the excitement in the store only lasted a few days, and the other 4 stores followed suit. The guests dropped back visibly. Everyone couldn't help but feel a little discouraged and hated those families. Xiaoqing, Yang and Xiaoqingxing would drag Xiaqiu angrily to the door of other people's stores every day and stare at other people's stores. They would stamp their feet in front of other people's stores and call them bad people. Sukinjao was also amazed at the ability of other companies to imitate them. If you have this time, why don't you think of some ideas of your own and just stare at her? After being sullen for a few days, I immersed myself in the study of dried pickles, dried vegetables and fruits, etc. Everyone was quietly trying to make them. I don't plan to release it for sale now. Covering it like this, no one can imitate it. For Sukingyu, all this means that costs have increased and profits have decreased. But thinking that these dried vegetables and fruits would bring her good profits in the future, she suppressed her anxiety. But everyone didn't see the profit, they only saw that there were fewer customers and less turnover in the shop, so they all became a little anxious. So she worked harder and served more meticulously. When a customer came, she wished that the other party didn't have to do anything but just use her mouth, and everyone would help her get the things she wanted and put them in the basket. Sudahua travels farther and can often bring back fruits and vegetables that are not common in this county and town. This has also given the shop a stable group of regular customers. Originally, the vegetables from the vegetable market were sold in the shop and all they did was provide services. However, Sukingyu did not engage in price wars and emphasized service, and she also has a group of loyal customers. But the shop was still visibly quiet. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bhyaoye 11U. Chapter 71. Seeing the twins no longer running back and forth between the store and the backyard, and seeing them hanging around her every day, Sukingmei pulled the twins over to her side. She glanced at Xiao Qingyang and asked, "Does Qingyang want to go to school?" Xiao Qingyang was stunned, looked up at her, and then lowered his head with his lips pursed. Xiao Qingxing looked at her brother, and then looked up at Sukingmei. After thinking for a while, she said, "Brother wants to go. Brother Kyo has a study room with many books. There are many interesting stories in the books. Every time Brother Kyo tells us, we think it's so good. If brother can also read, we can read it at home by ourselves." Sukingmei was stunned. Letting them play with Xiaqiu can inspire their ambition? Really? Does Qingyang want to go to school? Yes. But it costs a lot of money to study. Dad and mom don't have money, and sister's business is not as good as before. The two little things are as sensible as ever. Suqing'an touched his head. Don't worry about me. I just want you to study, so I will work hard to earn money for you. Little Qingyang nodded heavily. Yes. Qingyang wants to study. Seeing the light in the eyes of the two children and the uncontrollable excitement on their faces, Suqing'an felt that this decision was right. While the business in the store is not busy now, send Qingyang to study. Second aunt opened a shop and took away her business, and the family also turned to cooperate with second aunt. She sent Qingyang to study, and I believe that step-grandmother would not dare to find her. Thinking of the quiet business in the store these days, Yanggui Martial Arts Hall has always supported it and purchased a large amount of vegetables and meat from her store every day. Suqing'an is very grateful. Thinking that it has been a while since I last visited Lu Bachan's master and his wife, I prepared some cakes and prepared to visit them. Thinking of Ma's wife, I brought the twins with me. The twins were very excited to go to Yanggui Martial Arts Hall for the first time. They kept asking questions all the way. When they arrived at the entrance of Yanggui Martial Arts School, they immediately stopped laughing and became serious when they saw the majesty of the entrance. It was very funny for Suqing'an. It turned out that she was right to bring the twins here. Master Ma was very happy to see the twins and she held them tightly. She spoke to them very kindly and patiently, in a soft voice, and brought them a lot of food and toys to play with them. Seeing that they were interested in the martial arts school, she took them around the martial arts school herself. She also took them to the training ground to watch the disciples of the martial arts school practice martial arts. The two children screamed and were very excited. Master Ma also smiled, screamed, and clapped with them, and explained the disciples' moves to the two children. The disciples and Master Ma on the training ground were shocked. Their master never came to the training ground, and no sword dared to appear in front of her. Not only did he come in person today, he also pointed at various swords and spears to explain to the two little ones. Master Ma saw his wife smiling again, his nose was sore, and he went to find Suqing'an in person. Your master's wife has never smiled since her sons passed away. She is very happy today, master, thank you. If you have time in the future, bring the two children to accompany her. She can only say a few words to me, and she may not speak all day. She rarely leaves the door. Suqing'an felt distressed when she heard it. Nodded in agreement. Later, Master Ma's wife took the twins to stay in the martial arts hall for dinner, saying that someone would send them back to the store later. Suqing'an saw that the two little things were also looking forward to it, so she said goodbye and went back first. At dusk, the two little things were sent back by the disciples of the martial arts hall, holding large and small bags of gifts. She excitedly told her experience in the martial arts hall in front of her brothers and sisters, and demonstrated the moves she had seen. Master Ma is a very good person. I have never seen such a beautiful and good person. She speaks slowly and softly, and is very patient. I like listening to her talk. Xiao Qingxing's heart was captured in an afternoon. Xiao Qingyang also nodded and opened various gifts for everyone to see. Expensive clothing, children's toys, snacks that are rarely seen, and a few jewelry for Xiao Qingxing. Su Qingliu was shocked. Why did you accept such expensive things? Xiao Qingxing glanced at her two sisters carefully. Master Ma said that she likes us and gave it to us. If we don't accept it, she will be sad. My brother and I don't want her to be sad. You can't accept such expensive things. She likes you, you just go to see her more often. How can you accept these? How can you return the gift? Xiao Qingxing lowered her head and turned the corner of her clothes a little uneasily. She didn't think that if she accepted the gift, her sisters would have to return the gift. Su Qing'an rummaged through the gift and smiled at Su Qingliu. You haven't met Ma's wife. She is a very gentle person. If she cries, women will feel distressed and soft-hearted. Xiao Qingxing and Xiao Qingyang nodded in agreement. Master Ma and Ma's wife are not people who are falsely polite. They are sending you off sincerely. They must really like Qingyang and Qingxing. We can just treat each other as relatives. It's better than the second aunt Su, Qing'an said. Speaking of the second aunt Su Qingliu was speechless. When they first opened the store, the second aunt Su didn't say she came to help. She came to the store every day and picked up the vegetables, meat, and fruits she liked and left without paying. They thought that she was their second aunt, and there was no reason to chase her and ask for money for a few vegetables. Unexpectedly, she came here every day and took away a lot of things every day. Zhou Dejiang couldn't stand it one time. When he chased her for money, she actually said a lot of things to criticize Dejiang in front of the guests, which made Dejiang very embarrassed. I didn't say anything about not paying for the food. I later learned the store's model and opened a similar shop. And stole their supply at a low price. It's okay not to have such relatives. Su Qingliu secretly hated it. In the past, her second aunt didn't like the people in their house. When she met her second aunt in town, she just treated her as an ordinary person. Anyway, her second aunt didn't treat them as relatives. In the next few days, Su Qingliu was busy with the store and looking for a private school for Qingyang. Qingyang, the private school that Xie went to, couldn't go. He hadn't started yet and didn't know the words, so he could only go to the most basic school. Su Qingliu also wanted to send Xiao Qingxing to learn a few words, but there was no school in town that accepted female students. This humming ancient time. Women should stay at home and never leave the house. The twins often go to the martial arts hall when they have free time. When I came back to play with Xie, I talked about the martial arts gym in an exaggerated way, and showed him various moves, which made Xie, a little adult, also run to the martial arts gym. Old man Xie is happy to see the success. He has always disliked his grandson for being too upright and not childlike. He became more lively after meeting the twins. Now he is willing to run and jump like a 7-year-old child. Old man Xie really wants him to run outside. So Madame Ma became even happier. The twins were running and jumping in front of her, and she looked happy. Then she saw Xie, a young adult in formal clothes, and she became even happier. Later I learned that there was another Yaya, and I was even happier. Every day, a young disciple is sent to the store to carry Yaya over. He patiently walks Yaya, teaches her how to speak, feeds her, changes her clothes and diapers. The sick look on his face gradually disappeared, and he became more and more cheerful. Master Ma was surprised when he saw it. So I collected a lot of delicious and fun things for the children to play with every day, which made them want to run to the martial arts school before dawn, and they were happy and unhappy every day. The little disciple carried Yaya back to the store every day at dusk. The little guy still refused to obey, twisting his body and pointing his hand in the direction of the martial arts hall. Su Qingliu was both angry and funny, and said that he wanted to sell her to a martial arts school. Madam, she has a tender heart. Author, Bha Xiaoye 11U. Chapter 72. Su Qingliu visited almost all private schools in the town and finally settled the matter of Xiao Qinjiang's studies. Ask Su Dehu to tell Su's father and mother Su. She herself had just taken the excited Xiao Qingyang to buy pens, ink, paper, and inkstones. After buying it, the little thing excitedly studied in the room. He spread out the book and said that he wanted to learn Chinese characters in advance, and he didn't even go to his favorite martial arts gym. When Ma Shiniang learned that he was going to study, she collected a lot of pen and ink and sent it to him. The day before he went to private school, Su's father and Su's mother arrived at the store early in the morning. There were big and small bags of local products, including rice and noodles. Mom and Dad, Are you afraid that your little son or daughter won't be able to eat here or something? Su Qingyu teased. Mother Su slapped her. What are you talking about? Isn't it better to leave them to you than to leave them in the village? How can your father and I feel uneasy? Mom, you brought so many things, and Grandma didn't tell you. Su Qingyu was a little surprised. Humph, what can she say about me? Speaking of her stepmother-in-law, Su's mother was quite critical. Your father asked you to bring them. He said that you have all the green poplars and green apricots here, so he asked you to bring some of their rations. They are grown at home, so you don't have to spend money to buy them outside. Hearing that it was old Su who took the lead, Su Qingyu stopped talking. No wonder step-grandma didn't speak. It turned out to be Grandpa who spoke. Is it because your father doesn't provide food to your sister at home? Most of the people in the village sell vegetables to your second aunt, and even Dahu can't get food from our village. Your fourth uncle also charges high prices for vegetables from nearby villages. Yes, your father still feels guilty. Mother Su was very dissatisfied with Aunt Su for taking away her daughter's business. This sister-in-law was born in a different mother's womb with the child's father. She never paid attention to her as the eldest sister-in-law, nor did she pay attention to Dafang's family. Mother Su would understand anyone who opened such a vegetable shop, but she couldn't accept that second Aunt Su also opened it. Mom, anyone can do this kind of business. If she doesn't do it, others will do it. She charges high prices for vegetables, so the family can make more money by selling vegetables to her, Su Qingyu said with relief. What are you making money for? I heard from Saiquan that she didn't even settle the food payment with her family. She doesn't give Saiquan the money for collecting vegetables at ordinary times, it's all collected by her family. She said that the business of collecting vegetables is done by peeling off the money from the stall. They were all from Saiquan and the family, so she shouldn't take the money, so your grandma gave your fourth uncle the money to collect the vegetables. But she didn't pay for the vegetables, saying it would cost too much. I'll give it after the settlement at the end of the month. Just because of this matter, not only she had objections in the family, but also the child's second and third aunts had objections. Even the father-in-law frowned. That means the mother-in-law trusts her daughter. She said that her husband's family owned an oil shop there, so how could she not pay the money she owed? She was still looking forward to Su Beizu telling Su Saiquan about a girl from the town. Su Qingyu and Su Qingyu looked at each other in shock after hearing this. This second aunt has a lot of tricks up her sleeve. Doing business with other people's money, only getting in but not getting out, and you don't have to worry about the source of goods, just sit back and wait to receive money. No wonder they have the confidence to engage in price wars. Su Qingyu shook her head. Su Dehu said a few words to Su's father and mother, and then went down to the village, followed by Zhou Dejiang. There is no need for so many people in the store now, she and Su Qingyu can keep busy. Grandma Zhou is also very busy in the backyard, and sometimes her grandchildren will come over to help with a little help. Dejian is a lot more cheerful now, Su's father said to Zhou Dejian's back. Su Qingyu praised him a few words. Well, I used to get confused when there were a lot of people, and blushed when I was teased. Now I can tease and joke with others, and I am much more tactful in doing things. Father Su nodded happily. That's good. Your aunt and I are from the same mother and father. Now no one in her family works to earn money, and life is much more difficult than before. I went to the county to help out a few days ago. When I brought your uncle home, I saw that Kixia and Jinhai only ate wild vegetables and rice porridge. Su Qingyu sighed. 2 days ago, when the monthly payment was due, Qinglao gave Dejang 1 or 2 wages. He couldn't wait, so he asked someone to take it home the next day. With his monthly wages, the aunt can also take it easy. Su's father was also sad that the Zhou family's biggest labor force had fallen. Without income, the whole family had to live in hardship. I don't know how long his legs will last. Your aunt and uncle thanked me profusely, saying that Qing Lao lent money to look after the leg, and gave De Zhang a job. They said they wanted to come over and thank you in person, but I stopped them. They are all from the same family. Our uncle can't do anything else right now, so I'll ask him to make some straw baskets and have them delivered to your shop, and I'll make some money. Su Qingyu nodded. I will also leave some processing work to my uncle, so that he can make some money at home. Just don't think that you are a useless person. Your uncle is thinking about it now. His legs and feet have been cured well. Although he will be different from normal people when he recovers in the future, it will not affect his walking. He also wants to support his family. That's good. Xiao Qingyang and Xiao Qingxing listened quietly to everyone talking. Although they are very happy living with their two sisters and having fun every day, the two little ones still miss their parents very much. As soon as Father Su and Mother Su arrived, the two of them nestled in their arms, extremely obedient. Speaking of Qinjiang's studies, Xiao Qingyang excitedly pulled Su's father and mother to see what his sister had prepared for him. These pens, inks, paper, inkstones and books were all bought by my second sister. My school bag was sewn by my eldest sister. Grandma Jo also made me a pencil case. Mom and Dad, look at. After the display of Xiao Qingyang, we went to Xiao Qingxing. Qingxing is livelier than her brother and talks more. She talked vividly about the Yangui Martial Arts Hall, saying that Ma Shiniang was so nice to have so many people, and then showed Su's father and mother Su the clothes and jewelry that Ma Shiniang had given her. The couple was shocked. After a short time, the two little children were different from the wild children in the village. Her speech became more organized, her temperament changed, so many things happened, and she received so many gifts. The couple were shocked. After leaving the room, she asked Su Qinjao with some anxiety, Master Ma, and Mrs. Ma gave them so many things, which are so valuable. Is it okay for us to take them? Are Mom and your father going to meet them and give them to them, give a gift? Su Qingliu laughed. She was also so uneasy at first, but later she felt relieved when she saw that Ma Shiniang took care of Yaya better than her mother. Mom, Master Ma really likes the children. Look at Yaya, she takes good care of her. She bathes her, changes her diapers, and even makes her clothes. We are too polite, but it makes people feel raw. Su Qinjao nodded. There is no need for parents to go. They are not the kind of people who do superficial things. They really like the children. It is good to let them spend more time with her. I will make some food for her. Yes, just go and talk to her. She doesn't see many people. Su's father and Su's mother were relieved, and they took the two younger children to explain.